right, folks, welcome back. Another episode, C-Suite Unfiltered. This one's a little bit different. So this is a pet project that I wanted to do, and I'm calling this the boardroom. So we'll do spin-off episodes where I have folks that aren't my candies on, and we're gonna call it the boardroom because you're sitting at the C-Suite table boardroom, baby. So I got the guys from Dirt Life, James and Liam. Guys, if you want to give the audience a brief introduction of yourself, if they don't know you, so go for it, guys.
Hey guys, my name is James. This is Liam right here. This is our Dirt Life channel here on YouTube. We own a lawn care company in Canada called Yard Dogs Lawn Care. We specialize just in fertilizer and weed control, take care of about 4,500 residential accounts. And we're not the level of knowledge of Mike Andes, but I promise you we'll bring you the excitement and enthusiasm.
Yeah,
cool.
Good to have you, man. Yeah, thanks for having us on. Yeah, we're really big fans of your guys' channel, Mike Andes and everyone. We've been watching you guys for a while, and hopefully we can bring some good insight, especially on the chemical fertilizer weed control side of the business too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm really thankful you guys are here. Definitely everyone, I'll just give them the plug now. Go check out their channel, Dirt Life, like and subscribe. But yeah, I'm stoked you guys are here. You said I could pretty much ask you anything, and we were just going to go like a true C-Suite Unfiltered episode. I come up with topics, I fire away at Mike, and we'll go from there. So my brief interactions with you guys and limited amount of time I've had to spend with you, you guys have big personalities, and that's a good thing. I love that. And you guys were able to speak at the Mike's most recent Landscape Summit, and that was a lot of the compliments that you guys got. Like, you were engaging, you were energetic. So I have a question based on that. How many employees do you guys have?
So right now we're gonna have about 25 employees for this season here.
Cool. Gotcha. So 25 employees, that's a lot to manage. And we'll kind of get into like how you manage that, how you split up kind of your roles and responsibilities. But I want to jump straight into it. With being big personalities, being very driven, how do you guys make sure you don't steamroll your employees?
Ooh, good question.
So for sure. So I'll answer it, then you can answer
Yeah,
I think. I mean, I know that there's like Jordan Peterson, he talks about all these kind of like different personality traits and all those things there too. And I know that depending on who I talk to, like obviously what people saw at the Landscape Summit is us in front of a crowd of 300 people. Yeah, we're going to bring high level energy, a podcast like high level energy. But when I'm talking one-on-one with someone in the interview and stuff, I'll probably go into a different kind of James mode where I'm just trying to understand you as a person. Like we're talking like this, kind of like that first date kind of thing.
Yeah.
If we're having a serious conversation, like it's going to be a complete different tone. Like, hey man, like, so right now we're trying to get these sales numbers. Like right now I need to see about 100 calls a day from you. Right now we're sitting at that 70. I want to figure out what's going on. How can we increase it by 30 calls a day? You know, like you change your personality and your demeanor based on the situation.
Yeah, like I think tonality is a word I use a lot, and I think that was something I had to work on a lot as a manager. Was I had little to no soft skills, and it was like everything's black and white. You're either right or you're wrong, and like you move forward, right? But some people can't take that, and as a manager or as an owner in your guys' case, you have to practice that tonality and those soft skills. So like Liam, do you ever feel like you come in like too high energy to situations, or that like people react to that well? Because sometimes people also react to like high energy managers and owners really well. So how do you think you balance that, Liam?
Yeah, like I guess kind of like what James said, like, yeah, you kind of put on like different faces. Like for girls, I might talk like a different way. For guys that are like my age, I might just kind of be like myself, right? And then for like people, I might just be, just a bit different as well. It just really depends on like who I'm talking to. I feel like definitely too, like I am, I guess, to a degree high energy, but obviously too, like there's a personality like in front of the camera too, right? Or when I'm like presenting in front of like 300 people, like I'm gonna go hard, right? On the day I'm probably a little bit more subdued, a little like less caffeine, right? But I think it just depends on like who you're talking to, and just it's individual to individual. Some people like they don't like high energy and like the direct tone. They just want somebody just to talk with them and just be empathetic, right? So it really depends on like who you're talking to, basically.
Yeah.
Tonality, like you guys said, is huge. Like if my wife walks around the house and I hear James, that's one kind of response. It's one, but it's like James, like all these different same word, different tones. I know what to expect going into the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So James, you're married, no kids, or do you have kids?
I have 3 kids.
Oh, cool. I wasn't sure. That's awesome, man.
But a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. We're gonna have as many kids as possible.
That's cool, man. That's going on. Liam, what about you? Single, dating? What's that like? Let's just get personal.
Yeah. So married for 3 years, and then expecting a kid here in 2 weeks, man.
Very cool. That's exciting. Congrats. Congrats. Very cool, guys. Awesome. So with the kind of the personality side of it, and maybe it's just the way you guys present on stage or how you do your content, which I think is fantastic. Do you feel like, though, because you are high energy and you guys move really fast, and you shared some of that story at Mike's Summit about how quickly you moved and grew the business, do you feel like there were times where maybe you steamrolled an employee or overstepped with an employee or each other? And then what did that corrective action look like? Do you guys feel like that's ever happened either between the two of you or with employees?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say like just in general with the business, like we're very like we love risk. We love the
Cool.
growing. And obviously we saw like in 2022, we were just way too over ambitious. We just steamrolled. We thought we were like basically invincible with like growth
Yeah.
and just five locations and triple and double, whatever, right? And we really got like, a fast realization of life that like, okay, it's not that easy. So I think there's like really like that example that we have to be as like pushing towards growth, and we love risk. But at the end of the day, too, we got to be more conservative. We got to be more like, okay, let's grow 50% or 100%, not like 400% like we were before.
Totally.
Yeah. So
yeah, like since that 2022 beatdown, I think we've been, because we thought we were God's gift to lawn care before that, and like after the reality check, like 2023 was an awesome year for us because we still brought the same intensity, energy, but we were a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic with our goals, and we actually had a conservative goal and budget, and we had a ambitious goal and budget. So you shoot for the ambitious, but you make sure for sure that you're going to hit the conservative one, because that's how you plan all your expenses and cash flow and stuff. And yeah, but I think overall, like
but we were definitely way over our head though. Like
in 2022, we thought we were going to be in one given season, we're going to expand to 3 locations. We're going to hire like
40
people, 50 people, like customer service and sales, but we didn't know our numbers leak was the biggest issue. It was just wishy-washy feelings. And I guess a huge downside of sometimes Liam's and my partnership personalities is that if we can definitely motivate each other and edge each other and encourage each other. But if it's a bad idea foundation, we're encouraging the wrong idea, like expansion, all these. So just making sure that we're more conscious of that going forward, I think will be
exactly.
Yeah. And I think you guys said a key word there, because I said that you have, commanding personalities, which is great, but maybe it's just like the confidence, right? So how do you regulate that self-confidence, right? Like I feel like, is that something you guys have always had? Like were you guys like the class clowns growing up? Were you like the prom king or like whatever? Or were you guys like, was that a skill you've developed over time? And since you've developed it, now you have to scale it and track that confidence. Like what's that look like for you guys?
Yeah, for me, I was always honestly like a very quiet person growing up.
Okay, yeah.
I would never really want to raise, and even quite frankly, like to this day, like I am still like before I did that presentation, man, like my heart rate I think was at like 130. Like I'm honestly terrified of like public speaking. Like I was terrified to just like raise my hand and like in class and all this like back in the day. Like it was something that never really like came easy to me. So like yeah, like. Maybe sometimes I am confident if I know what I'm talking about, but genuinely speaking, like I struggle to like the fact that you could just go on stage and just talk and like make it all natural and all that stuff. Like I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like my heart, man, like felt like it was like on like but he was definitely more like of like the outgoing one. Like I've known since like kindergarten, right? So
like I did like a personality test. My extroversion was like on the highest level possible. It doesn't mean though, like situations matter though. Like for example, if I'm in a new situation or I'm doing something I'm not sure about or confident about, my personality for sure can take like a more of a green down low. But I'm confident in things that I've done a lot of times. Like if you put me in front like of a computer for sales for lawn care, I'm confident, but I've done it thousands of times. So like I just that undeniable proof behind me that what I'm doing is probably going to work out. But you put me in a new situation, like if Nathan came over and said, James, make me the route for tomorrow, I would not be confident with the way I dragged my mouse around the houses to do. Because I'm like, hopefully I'm not unscheduling people or giving them free lawn care for life with what I'm doing now. So, but definitely like that. I love that presentation. Liam and I compared heart rates. Mine was for sure down, but I don't know. It's just been something I've been exposed to a lot more.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That makes sense. In terms of like, let's kind of switch more towards the operations of the business. So if you don't mind sharing, like what was kind of revenue last year? What are we projecting this year? What's that look like? And then I'll have kind of more specific questions about what you guys do operationally.
Yeah, for sure. So revenue last year, we just hit the 2 million mark. So it's like 2 point, just shy of 1, which was great. And then this year we just made the goal 2 days ago. 2.75 million is a goal. Okay,
cool. That's awesome. Yeah. And so tell me about like the balance of the roles, responsibilities, like who's in charge of what, and then how did you guys come up with that division of tasks?
I think a huge problem for the first few years is this is actually our decade in business now. Like Liam and I started this in 2014. It's really only been 5 years though since we've gone full time, since we've done school and then focused on fertilizer and weed control. But one issue that Liam and I had for a long time, because we're both 50-50 owners, there was kind of two bosses. So people would go to me for a question, but then they'd ask the same question to Liam. And when the answers can be different, inevitably, they didn't really know who to pick. So what we did last year, we made it very clear, like Liam's a better manager than I am. So we made it very clear, listen, Liam's the general manager, James is the sales manager, and James in theory is on the same level as the customer service, the office manager, and the operations manager. People report to Liam. And if they ask me a question that's more for Liam, we try really hard not to ever break the chain of command, which means I'm not going to answer a question that really, even though I'm the owner and I know the answer, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to say, I think that's a question for Liam. And just being very conscious about how we answer questions and make sure it's very clear who reports to who.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of like drew like that org chart of like, okay, I do the general manager, and then he's like the sales manager. He's extremely good at sales. And then we have an operation manager, and then I also manage the customer service too. So
Okay, gotcha. So how did you define those roles? Was there like a moment where it came to, I guess, a peak of stress or confusion, or was it just something you've kind of worked out over time? Like, how did you create that org chart? And then did you both try different things, or was it like, okay, well, James is naturally geared towards sales, so it makes sense, and like Liam's naturally more operational, so that makes sense. Like, how did you guys come to that conclusion? Because in my conversations with, folks inside of Augusta, but also outside of Augusta, they get to that point where they're like, okay, like I need to start, training a general manager. I will not be able to handle all of this stuff myself. And then it becomes, well, should I get like more of an ops person? Should I get maybe more of an office person? Should I get an estimator? So how did you guys kind of navigate those waters, and what would be some advice you would have for the owners that are going through that, they're $1 million plus in scaling and having to make those decisions?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a really good book from Gino Wickman called Traction.
Cool.
And, EOS process. And like, he really talks about right people, right seat. And like, you got to find like your God-given talent. And like, when you really break that down, it's like, okay, from day one, this guy was always the one selling, like doing the door-to-door and all that. And I was always one to kind of manage the operation. So like, really just peeling it all back. What is your God-given talent? What are you really good at? For him, it's not operations, but it's definitely sales. And it's the complete opposite of me. I cannot sell for the life of me, but I'm pretty decent at like operations. So I'd really just like focus, okay, what are you really good at? And then focus on that. What are you really bad at? Let's delegate that out. But really have it clear, like that organization chart of who reports to who and like who's responsible for what. But yeah, that's my answer.
And there's many times like, so Liam said two things there. He said the right person, and he also said the right seat. Sometimes you have the right person in the wrong seat, which means the right person is someone that adheres to your company's core values. Like everyone that's ever worked out your company, or everyone that hasn't worked out, they either had or broke some core values that you guys have that's unsaid. So you need to get those core values in the wall first and foremost. But if someone is the right person,
great point.
They can be in the wrong seat sometimes. 2022, technically, I was in the integrator role, which means I was kind of like the general manager. Wrong role for me, because that wasn't my strong suit. Doesn't mean James, you know what, you suck, you're fired sort of thing. It means, okay, you're the right person in the wrong seat. Let's go find the right seat. The tricky part gets when you have the right person, but there's no seat.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a great person, but you know what? This company just doesn't have a seat for you. And then unfortunately, usually part ways all on good terms. And then what's a lot more blatantly obvious is when you have the wrong person, perhaps in the right seat. So you might have a killer sales guy, but if he lies, cheats, and steals, he's the wrong person in the company. And that needs to be dealt with right away.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that totally. Core values. I'd love to hear what those are. Like, how many are there? What are they? And let us know.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we have the core values. So first one is like curious and always ready for a challenge. Cool. So it's just like get in there and like regardless if you know it or not, you just give it your all. And you're always like researching how to get better, right? So like just basically not afraid to fail is what that one means. Yep. And then the second one, extreme ownership. So we believe in absolute and utter like ruthless self-accountability. Like when everything went to freaking shit in 2022, I feel like for us to blame accountants or blame whatever, but no, we like looked in the mirror and we're like, no, like we are absolutely and utterly at fault. Like this is our business. This is no one's fault but ours. Totally. And then we started, what can we actually do to improve things? And like that's where things got better because we actually took ownership. I always felt like the saying funny when you point the finger, there's always like three fingers pointing back at you. Yeah. So I feel like it's a sign from like God or whatever, like, hey, instead of pointing the finger, point it at yourself, Yeah. When you talk about the other three core values there.
Because he can't remember them. I'm just kidding. Excellence, which means, if we're going to do something here, let's not half-ass it. Like, it's okay to not be curious and not know a lot about something, but if you're going to commit to something, go all out. Finish jobs 100%. Drama-free zone is a big one for us because, like, we all have personal issues in our lives. Like, we might have some stress at home, all these things, but when we come to work, let's leave it at the table. Let's leave it at the door. Let's have a great day. If we ever have a problem with someone for whatever reason, let's chat man to man about it. Let's not create gossip. Let's not grow resentful. Let's just be kind of blunt and straight up with each other.
Yeah.
And
the fifth one.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's my favorite one. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. The fifth one is earn, not given. So like
Cool.
Never spoiled when we were younger. We always like, our parents didn't come with like a lot of money, so we always had to earn like everything we got. Like we started off with like a hand-me-down van from like Jimmy's parents, like no muffler in 1995 Previa.
Yeah.
So like a lot of fun to like earn things opposed to like just being handed, okay, here's the trucks, here's everything, right? So we like people like to earn their way up at Yard Dogs. Like they start maybe as a technician and they work their way up, and we've had lots of employees do that. And we really respect that. We respect people that are not entitled.
Yeah.
They come in there, they prove themselves, they work their asses off, and then they get promoted like through the company.
Yeah. So entitlement has always been a big issue, I think, sometimes with our generation. Like that, I remember. So that red van, like just so that we're being very clear, the thing sounded like a spaceship, and it looked like a driving landfill. Like it was bad, and like I would drive it to school, and all these kids are getting things like brand new BMWs from mommy and daddy. Yeah, James here in the red van, and like I remember this class, and this girl sits beside me, and she's like, "Jimmy, you wouldn't believe the car I parked beside today. It was the ugliest thing I've seen in my life." And I look at her, I'm like, "Was it red?" She's like, yeah. So like that, but that red van was a great way to start. We had so much fun in that van, like, and that's like the start of the J&L Lawn Care, which was our name before someone thought we prison, jail, lawn care. So it became Yard Dogs quick, but that was the first van. And like I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. Those were some of the best times. But that was a good filter too for like any girls. If they stuck with you like in that van,
keeper.
Keeper didn't just walk away. You're like, hey, this is the girl. This is the girl I'm gonna stick with.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Yeah. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. So kind of around the core values, let's say, I love like the earn not given. I love the extreme ownership. Like those are very similar to some of the values we hold at Augusta, and me personally, like I definitely hold those values. Let's say you had someone, or maybe you have had an employee that has done this, but let's talk in hypotheticals. Hopefully it doesn't get too personal. But let's say you have an employee that clearly is not embracing those values, but it's hard to measure ownership, right? It's not like, well, what percentage of ownership is he exercising, or he or she is exercising? What percent of earned not given is that person exercising? So let's create a hypothetical here. You have an employee that like, it's not late. They're never late. Like they show up on time. They do okay. Like they're not your top performer, but like they put up numbers and they're serviceable. Okay. They're a standard employee, if you will. But behind the scenes, you don't have like direct evidence. Maybe there's some negative talk. Maybe there is some drama. Maybe there is some, well, I've been here for a year, so like I should get a better position. You get that feeling, right? As managers, owners, we tend to learn how to read people over time. What do you do in that case, right? When they aren't clearly violating a core value, they aren't doing anything to get themselves fired. Like, how do you handle a situation like that?
There's this awesome part of Traction called the People Analyzer. And the way the core values work is that it's not necessarily got it or not. There is a middle zone. So you can have check mark, you can have a plus minus. You can have a plus minus, and you can have a minus.
Yeah.
So the rule of our company is that you are allowed to have 2 plus minuses. It doesn't mean you get away with that. You got to continue to strive and turn those into pluses. But it's okay if I was a plus on 3 of them and a plus minus on 2 of them. But I cannot. No one at the company can have an X on any of them. If you have 1 X, you are considered the wrong person at the right company. For example, if someone has all the 4, committed to excellence, they're everything earned, nothing given and stuff, but the 1 X they have is drama free, which means they're always just talking shit about people. They're talking shit about things that just bring a negative attitude, even though they're awesome at their job and like they're honest technically. That's a negative. And it kind of comes down to the discretion of the manager. Is this something that I believe that they could develop and fix, or honestly, is this who they are? And we're not in the business of changing people. We're in the business of giving people a clear path and motivating them, because only they can change themselves. You just gotta think to yourself, is this person going to improve or not? And if someone's clearly unable to improve, like we have had some people where like drama was just built into their blood. And like, no matter what, they always had to be talking bad about something. And I can't believe how much that changes the culture around here when one is clearly a black sheep in the company. And everyone else in the company is watching to see what the owners / managers do. Will they tolerate that person being around? And if they don't do anything, they're technically making a choice to keep that person around. But there's been so many times where, we've had the conversation, we let that person go, and everybody at the company goes like, "Ah, thank God," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy like how much one person can really drag things down, and it's crazy how if that person's gone, how much things get better.
Yeah.
Like we saw that a couple of years ago. We had this one employee just always like more money, more this, not good enough. You can never make him happy, basically.
Yeah.
He did his work though. He showed up on time, all that. He was relatively funny to be around, all that, right? But he was never happy, right? As soon as he left and was gone, everything changed. Everything completely changed. Same with like last year too, right? Like there's it's crazy how it's, especially if you're on the fence about something, you really have to figure it out. Like I remember Donald Trump saying this, like he literally said the worst employees are the good employees because they're not good enough to make your company great, but they're kind of good enough where like they stick around, right? Where the so obvious that they have to go, but you don't want the good employees because they just don't get you better, and they just always are like a distraction basically, right? So those are the ones that you really have to like let go and keep your eye on.
Yeah. And it's your average, you got 10 good employees and 3 great employees. Hey, the average is still, you are a good company.
And the great ones tend to do like 2x, 3x
at least
over what the good ones are.
The production.
And they might make $1 or $2 more per hour. It's just like, just get the great ones, get the exceptional ones.
Yeah, definitely. And that comes with a lot of trial and error. And like, that's one thing, like, kind of the verbiage we use a lot internally at Augusta would be, like, hey, we're always trying to hire A players, right? The great employees. We will hire B players, right? But they need to be pulled up to the A level by the managers and by the A players on the team, right? Like not everyone you hire is going to be an A player, right? Like they have certain life events that have affected them. Maybe they're financially, they're struggling. Maybe they're mentally, they're struggling, right? So they get hired as a B, but you need to create a culture that can get B's to A's through like your training, through your bonus incentives, things of that nature, right? But like we will never hire C players, right? Like the average is like if they just like want a job, like this is my favorite question in an interview, and I'd kind of like to know what your guys' are because I'm sure you do a lot of interviews. My favorite question in an interview is, hey, outside of this interview, doesn't impact your employment here whatsoever. What are your goals in life? Where do you want to be in 10 years, right? And if it's just like, oh, I just want a job. Oh, I just got to pay bills. Oh, I got to pay child support. It's like, okay, like I don't want to hire you because like that's C player mentality, right? Versus like, oh, I hired a guy, no experience in the industry. Personally, I didn't think he would make it past a day. Like I thought he would drop dead just from the physical labor side of it. And he was like, I want to be a history teacher. And I was like, cool, like you have a goal for yourself. You might be a B player in terms of the physical ability to do the work here, but I know you have the mentality of reaching a goal. So I can pull you with my team and my culture up to an A level. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question, man. I love that one. It's also too, like, you just like see like their eyes like light up. They're like, wow, no one's ever asked me that like in my life. And I want to buy a house. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to be this. Right. And it's awesome to see that. And I think people need to be asked that more, even just in general, when they are employed, just to check in once every couple months, whatever. What are your goals? What's your 1-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Because I think that's a really valuable question. My favorite question, to be honest, I haven't done an interview in a long time, but I always like to say, when was your last argument and what was it about?
Oh, interesting.
Lets the guard down. They start to talk, and it's got to be about something that's drama related. And it's like, okay, how did you handle that conflict? Did you take ownership of the conflict, or was it, no, my boss is a freaking idiot, this and that, I hate him, and it was all his like how they describe the argument really tells me a lot about, is this person gonna be good or not, So that's my favorite question. What's yours?
Well, my favorite is actually the question I ask their references, because you always get references for employees. Huge mistake if you don't. We've learned that one the hard way 1,000 times. But when I'm talking the reference, at the very end of the interview, I'll usually ask him, I'll be honest, listen, so we're a lawn care company, a lot depends on this person's position sticking out and working out and stuff. Here's a bit more background of my company. If you were me, would you hire them? And I've had people kind of pump up that person the entire time, but once I kind of get real, face to face, and I'm like, listen, would you hire them if you were me? I've had them kind of think and say, you know what? No, I actually don't think I would, to be honest with you. And there's the answers are like, well, he's an alcoholic. I'm like, oh, that's good to know. Or there's been times where he's a great guy, but in your situation, I don't think you guys are a good fit for each other. So I think that's been invaluable question that I love to ask their references.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. I like the argument question. I might have to use that. I'm going to steal that one for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. I think I want to switch gears a little bit. So let's talk about the man who is not here, Mike Andes. This is a unique perspective that I love to get from you guys, because I got hired by Mike when he had maybe 2,000 followers on YouTube. Right? No one knew who he was. It was just one business. Right? It was just Augusta Lawn Care of Bellingham, and now it's what we see today. So I got to see him grow and become the authority of the industry that he is today through like hard work, determination, and just building an awesome company, an awesome team. What were your guys' initial reactions to him? Like you found him on YouTube, I'm assuming, or some social media. Like, what was your initial reaction? Like, fake guru, who is this guy? How tall actually is he? I can't tell in the videos. Like, what was your guys' initial reaction? I love hearing what people have to say about this.
Remember the first video you ever saw?
Oh yeah, I do. He was like talking in front of like a whiteboard, and I could tell he was like very short. I could also like very much tell he was smart and he knew what he was talking about, and he was very young. So I really liked him. I think he must have had 3, 4, 5,000 people, because I was always following like Stanley Dirt Monkey.
Cool.
My go-to. There's a Lawn Care Millionaire, which I really like too. But just like what Mike said, there's a lot of influencers on YouTube. They're not like there to build their business. They're there just to get promotions, get sponsorships, and just grow their media, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But I was like, I want somebody to actually help me grow the business. So I was like, subscribe right away. This guy looks smart. He's my age. He's running a decent sized big lawn care company, probably $1 million at that point. I was like, I like this guy. And then I saw him kind of grow through the ranks from like that 3,000 to like the 10,000. And yeah, I was always extremely impressed by him. And yeah, still am today, man. Huge fan. So trying to think of like anything that I was critical about.
I remember being a bit confused in the sense of like the guy is doing some great, like my first impression, just like Liam was saying, I love that he was young. He's the same age as us, which I thought was really cool. So something that we had in common. I thought it was so weird that he like lived in the closet of the gym and stuff. I'm like okay, like I'm like I mean, some of those for him, but I'm like is he actually bankrupt behind the scenes, or like is he like or is he someone that he's like so motivated that maybe like I hope he's taking care of himself kind of thing? Is that what I was hoping for too? I remember the first time I saw him in person, which was at the Landscape Summit. I remember like huge celebrity status. Like I saw him in person, like even though he's like I'm a short guy, but he's like shorter than I am. I remember thinking presence. I'm like, oh, there's the untouchable man sort of thing, like that kind of thing there too. So like definitely that has that celebrity status, but like no, he was always a genuine guy. You can just tell he's like he's doing this to help other people, elevate the industry. He's very wise. He's incredibly smart, and but you can tell he's doing it for the right reason, which I just absolutely loved.
Yeah, that's cool. So was there ever like a tipping point where you were like, okay, this guy's an authority, we got to listen to him? Or was it just like over time, you just felt like it was just, he was legit?
That's a good question.
I
think
really,
everyone naturally questions when they see anyone on YouTube, like, are these guys legit, right? So there's always like that questioning period, is this guy legit? And obviously the first like, well, you're just like watching the videos, okay, does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense, right? But no, I honestly like from the get-go, like especially out of all the other YouTubers, I was like, hey, this is like the guy that actually knows about building a brand and building like a company the best. And you can see he's got like 150 plus locations, right? So he obviously knows what he's talking about. But yeah, no, from the get-go, I've always thought he's like extremely smart, and I've always taken a lot of good advice from him too. So
he definitely earned my respect once I started to see him talk about like his orphanage in Africa and him doing these turnarounds completely for free and to help to elevate the business. That was, to me, that was like proof that he is who he says he is, because behind the scenes, like I was very impressed with all this stuff, but I guess maybe subconsciously I'm like, why is he doing this? Why?
Yeah.
Like, why is he doing a free turnaround? Like, why is he posting a 4-hour video on how to start your lawn care company? That takes so much time and energy to do.
Totally.
But I kind of understood his why. I'm like, okay, no, I'm behind this guy. Let's do this.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's awesome. No, we greatly appreciate you guys' support and being at the conference. And I'm not looking for you to just gas up Mike by any means, but I honestly just love hearing that perspective from people, because obviously I do. Most people know. I'm not sure if you guys know. Like I am the gatekeeper of Augusta, if you will. Like if you want to get into Augusta, you book a call with Lee, and we have a conversation, kind of just like we're doing now. I try to keep it as loose and relaxed as possible, and ultimately, like I'm looking for people that aren't just fans of Mike, right? Like there are a lot of people that want to join Augusta because they're just a fan, and it's like, that's great, but like fans go to football games and like don't do 5 workouts a week like these NFL players. Like you wouldn't put a fan on the field in an NFL game, they would literally die, right? Versus, you know, and that's my American side. Let's go hockey for you guys, right? You wouldn't put a fan on the ice, otherwise they would die, right? So I think for me, like that's a filter that I have to use, but I always want to see like what are people's actual reactions to Mike, and sometimes to my own detriment. You know, I worry about what people think about Mike because I am so against online gurus, right? But I got to see Mike at 2,000 followers. I didn't even know he had a YouTube channel when he hired me, right? And now I get it, and I've seen the story, so I have a unique advantage. So I'm very concerned about people wanting to join just because of what they see on YouTube. It's like, no, you have to be willing to put in the hard work, like you guys said, like earned, not given. And that's something that a lot of people who follow YouTube personalities don't get. Like YouTube personalities had to earn that. You don't just get to coattail off of them, right? Well, I am with this podcast. I'm coattailing off Mike. I'll just hand up and admit that. But
Yeah.
I was watching this really good video by Hermosi, and Hermosi was talking about how like the context of who you are is a lot more important than what you say. And an example of that is like I might go like if I go to Twitter and like write like right now I'm on the toilet and I post that, like people are gonna think it's kind of weird, like what the hell? But if Elon Musk does it, it's hilarious and 1 million retweets. Why? Because he's the richest guy in the world, kind of thing.
yeah,
Like, it's huge.
Yeah.
And the thing about Mike is that even though like all the stuff he's saying behind the scenes, Augusta Lawn Care, 140 franchisees, 150 franchisees, co-pilot, all these things, like he doesn't need an introduction. Well, I can believe what he says because of the evidence he has behind him. That's so many gurus. There's no evidence, and like what they say might be like kind of intriguing and clever,
And
without,
good,
without that authority behind it. It's like Warren Buffett saying you guys need a dollar cost average every month versus like the 18-year-old telling you how to get rich. Like it's the same advice, but the context of the person is completely different.
Yeah.
And Mike's got the context.
Yeah. I caught myself on a fake guru the other day. You're just scrolling YouTube, so I clicked this video and I'm like, this is intriguing, so I'm watching it. And it was just like a whole pitch to setting up like a drop shipping account, and I was like, okay, I'm out. Like, I was like, please stop. So what's the purpose of your guys' YouTube channel, Dirt Life? Like, what are we getting into? Why are you guys getting into this?
You know what? I first of all, again, we enjoy doing it. I think that's a big part of what's gonna make it sustainable. We have a lot of fun doing calls like this and just posting our story. Like we truly believe that Yard Dogs one day can be Canada's largest lawn care company. Why not document the process along the way? Just before this video, I was going through some old files and I found all these vlogs of mine from 2018.
Nice.
That I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I have these because one day I'm gonna look back and like pump for that. And like, could there be opportunities that come down the road, such as sponsorships and coaching, things like that? For sure. But that's a very long-term play. I think the people that we have access to from doing the Dirt Life is really what it's about. Like the fact that you and I, like we're all talking right now, we wouldn't be able to do this if we're just running a lawn care company, not kind of going putting ourselves out there on YouTube, having Mike here. Who knows what people we're going to meet? And I think life is all about the relationships that you build. So long-term relationship building play, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, short answer, we don't really have like a exact like direction with it. We're just having fun and seeing like where it's gonna go. I'd like to hear like a little bit too. I'll ask you a question. So like when you joined 2,000 subscribers, how much of a priority was it for Mike to grow the channel? And like how was that for him? Was he just filming every video, doing the edits like at nighttime? Like what was that like?
Yeah, so I would say, and I might get my timelines a little bit blurred, but yeah, when I first got hired, like didn't know he had a YouTube. He was just, clicking record and stepping in front of a whiteboard, right? Or sitting in front of a podcast mic. And he was just doing that all on his own, no editors, no videographers, like he just did it himself. I think 2 years into me getting hired, so that was when kind of Liz, our operations manager, now COO of Augusta, kind of took over the Bellingham shop. She ran it. I was the estimator salesperson. And then Mike started having a little bit more free time to get into it. And then I think my 3rd year into Augusta, so that probably would have been, what would that be? 2021 maybe, is when he took one of our guys from the field who did have some videography experience, started as like a part-time videographer and editor. So to answer the question, it was never a priority. I think he knew eventually it was a little bit of a means to an end. And I think he also knew like that was his long-term vision, was I want to help small business owners across the world. Like small business owners in a lot of ways are the backbones of economies, and a lot of small business owners are great, honest, hardworking people, but they don't have the systems, the education, the support to grow these great businesses that they dream of. And I think that's where he found his niche, was like, if I can prove that I can do it, let me prove it first. Then I will start focusing on the media. And like you said, to James's point, is like now like the evidence is there, right? With the turnarounds, with the videos he puts out and the education for free, like the evidence is there. That's what he's doing. That's his mission. So now media has taken a focus. But I think now he has 6 in-house media people, right? So the focus is like, you guys tell me when I'm flying out, and then I will give you my undivided attention during that time. So that's really cool to see that growth, that like I saw him doing it by himself, and it was 0 priority. I will record a video at midnight and I will post it right then and there, no edits, right? If you watch some of the old videos, like he forgets to cut out the intro, he forgets to cut out the outro, like it's bad lighting, like it's not recording, whatever. But now it's like, okay, now he can just focus on his mission, helping small business owners. And he has 6 people that are like, here's how you're going to help small business owners. We got the back end. I think that's a really cool transition I got to see. But yeah, he never wanted to be a YouTube star. Like I can tell you that with 100% honesty. Like Mike doesn't do it for the fame, for the celebrity. It's, I want to create a platform where people can learn and grow and not make mistakes and not lose their business over simple things that could have been avoided with education, right?
No, for sure. No, he's really filling like a void too. Like there's been like, I feel like a demand for like just like, small business education for like, especially like any like home service businesses, So like there's like Hormozy, but that's more like for like gyms or whatever, right? Or just bigger business, but like that mom and pop chucking a truck guy that wants to grow. There's been a big like void, and like he's definitely filled that for sure.
Yeah, and even with like Hormozy, like this is a piece of advice I like to give to people a lot of times, because we find gurus or successful people once they go viral, right? So I literally tell like managers inside of Augusta, they're like, what course should I take? Or like, did you watch this Hormozy video, this, that, and the other? And I'm like, watch this video from Mike from 4 years ago. That's what you need to learn from. Like he was in the trenches doing what you're doing right now, and the same thing he taught 4 years ago applies to you today. You don't need to watch his new multi-million-dollar marketing plan, which is great, and you probably will learn something. But let's go down to like the grassroots of like when he ran a $1 million company, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and like some of my favorite Hormozy videos that I have like saved on playlists are like from 2-3 years ago, like that have not many views, but I'm like, these are some of the most tangible videos, and his new ones are great and I love them and I watch them all. But some of his older videos are like so much more practical for like where I'm at in life and where Augusta is as a business.
I was literally just saying that the other day, because like I'm like I love the Hormozy videos and stuff, but if you want the real gold, go 2-3 years ago when it's just him kind of like in a, like a studio like this and a whiteboard, and like just talking for sales. That is the real stuff. And like I think once YouTubers get bigger and they've got kind of money to spend, it can get a little bit flashy. But the real meat and potatoes comes down when there's no budget. It's you and a whiteboard and the camera, and you just do what you got to do. Like that's when that's the true test of time, is what you're saying so good that people are watching you, not because there's fancy graphics and animations.
Yeah. 100%. All right, I'm gonna totally switch gears here. Liam said his name, so I want to know, do you guys care about American politics? Is everyone as obsessed with us as we are, right? What do you guys think about the current status of American politics? And if you don't have an opinion, totally fine. I don't. It doesn't bother me.
We definitely have opinions, man. We definitely.
All right, good.
Yeah. I really got into it. Like I watched The Apprentice with Donald Trump back in the day. So I was introduced to him at like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Like that's why I probably like love business so much. It's like I just saw him like in the boardroom, like firing people. You're fired, all that. Like it was great. So it was just like it always instilled like that competitive like mindset of like doing your best and like really working hard. And then probably in 2016 when we started to run, and there's always like primary debates with like Jeb Bush, like low energy Jeb, all that. I was like, this is
that was good TV.
That was some of the best things ever. So I really got into it more so like for the entertainment purposes, but then I really got into it for like the politics. And I was like a massive Trump fan. So like I got a Trump flag at my house.
Nice.
On 2020, we were literally in the streets of Calgary waving Trump flags.
People couldn't believe their eyes. It's like, what the hell, guys? Like, that's so weird and like so relevant.
It was like thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up though, especially in our city, Calgary. And when we went to Silver Lake once, did the same thing, and the response to Silver Lake was awesome. You go to other cities in Canada, you're gonna get shot, but like or maybe stabbed.
I was gonna say you're not gonna get shot.
But no, like like we're big Trump fans.
Oh, yeah.
I think Trump is
100%.
going to just wipe Biden out. I really hope so.
Yeah.
I personally probably would have preferred if DeSantis would have won. Honestly, I think it might have been a little bit better for the country because unfortunately, like Trump is stigmatized by so many people. Like they just won't vote because it's Trump kind of thing. Even though I like what Trump says, I like his policies, all these things too. I personally probably would have voted for DeSantis or
Vivek,
I really liked Vivek. He was fantastic. But you know what? I do think Trump versus Joe. I'm really rooting for Trump for sure.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if Trump and Vivek partnered up and he's the VP. I think that'd be a great smart decision. I think Vivek will bring in like a lot of like the younger people, and he's just like so easy to understand, and he'll bring in the middle that needs to be swayed more over like to like the Republican side. So
and I'll make a prediction that if Trump wins after his term, he's going to give his endorsement to Tucker Carlson, and then Tucker's going to run president. And I think that would be a huge move for USA. Talking about Canada, though, I think we can all agree that Trudeau's got to go. Like that guy is a disaster for this country. Our votes on Pierre Poilievre 100%.
Yeah.
And I do think if like the Republicans get in for the states and the Conservatives can get in for Canada, I think we might be able to undo a little bit of the mess that we've got ourselves into.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I do want to ask about Trudeau a little bit. What do you guys think about this? So I saw a comedian recently, and Biden has had more than enough snafus. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, you have to admit, like he has had some pretty dumb public mistakes, right? But I saw a comedian that was saying like, oh, you hear all these conservatives that say like, oh, Biden makes us look weak on an international stage. And he was like, what, is a terrorist going to see him trip and be like, now we should attack? And I was like, okay, haha, good bit. But ultimately, like, how do you guys see it as, not American citizens? Like, do you think the way Biden is perceived in the media or the snafus that he's had, like, does it make America look weak? What is your guys' reaction to that? What are the reactions of people up there that you talk to?
Yeah, like it's crazy like how much like the media can really control. Because like obviously like I'll follow like all the Republican channels like on Instagram, so like I see it for myself. You turn on CNN, it makes them like look like a genius. It's like, yeah, Biden had a great press conference today, and they'll just show like 2 seconds of it, and they won't show like all the questions that he could have had, but he decides not to take them, right? So it's crazy how much like the media actually has a lot of control over like the minds. You saw all that stuff like during COVID, obviously, like how much of like a population they could just control and just manipulate. So like to tell you the truth, like people don't really see it in Canada because it's just so controlled. Like I'll see it like censored version, but it's really hard to actually like see the fully non-edited full like clip without any modifications, right? So
people are really scared in Canada. Like we have no backbone sometimes, I find, and this is myself for sure. Like people like we call it the silent majority, meaning that they don't agree with a lot of things that are going on, but everyone is scared to say something about it because they're worried that the woke mob is going to cancel them. And I feel the same way, not gonna lie. So like when I see Biden the way he is, I do think it's kind of a joke. Like I think like the United States is for sure a weaker country right now, and there's some pretty messed up stuff going on in the world in the recent times. I just watched that one interview with Ben Shapiro and Destiny, and like there's those are two very smart individuals. It's very awesome debate, I thought. But there's some weird stuff going on. But in Canada, like everyone just does what's popular, and what's popular is what the media decides, and the media decides that the radical lefts are what's popular and stuff. Exactly. So like even like I hate to, on social media, whenever there's a new thing about gosh, pick any subject, pick abortion, pick vaccines, all these things, everybody is pro whatever the radical lefts want it to be. And if the
media fully backs them up,
they back them up 100%. And it makes sense. The media wants and the government wants people to be more dependent on the government, voting to get this universal benefit of a wage sort of thing there, to rely on the government, pay lots of taxes because they're going to take care of you. What people don't realize is that nobody's coming to take care of you. That's the power of small business. You actually have a choice to go out there and make something for your family, but people are scared and people think the government's going to save them, and that's never worked in history. And if we're not careful, we might be the new Venezuela. Like there's there's so many times in history where people put all their trust in the government, and look how that turned out.
Exactly.
People from history, and I'm very bad at history. Like history was botched in school. I don't even know what the truth is anymore. Like it's hard to know what the truth is.
But all I can say is just like, smaller government, like to me, like works out. And it's just good to see, small businesses always like seem to like support the conservatives, like less government. But it's crazy how much the media can like fully manipulate and control things and just absolutely just throw all the bias your way. So if you're not smart with it and you don't do your own research, you're gonna end up like some like woke left freaking pink-haired person.
And you're
You know?
and you end up depressed as hell. Like if someone's like super scared in life, go to their house, CT or CNN is on all the time in the back.
With a mask on.
They're watching with the mask. And they put a mask on their jab too because they're scared that infect others. But like one thing that happened, like during COVID, even we were told like, you guys, this is not the time to grow your business. This is not the time to buckle down. You got to preserve your cash and like sit in the corner and like hope the government's gonna come save you. We decide, you know what? Our business is the one thing that we can control. So we're gonna, and I tell people like, you know what, shut off the damn news, get out there and sell some more lawn care.
Yeah.
Like if your sales are good and your profits are good and your team is strong, you'll be surprised at how many problems just go away.
Exactly.
And how many problems aren't actually there. Like if you want to put that core value driving free zone and put it into politics, everybody would have that big minus on it because they love it's the liberal votes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think too, like, I think that a lot of people get like fear mongering, right? So it's like, oh, we have to follow the crowd. Like, oh, that's too scary. So let's just stay over here and like not think outside of the box. And I think that happens on the conservative side as well. Like you get the really far right, folks who are like, everything's a conspiracy theory. They're coming to, Nancy Pelosi's going to come eat our brains. Like, and it's like, okay, like, dude, get out of your box. Like realize like, yeah, maybe she's a corrupt politician, but like, let's figure this out together. I think both sides of the aisle need to do that. I will say, this is my prediction. If you guys can get someone conservative in, and if Trump wins this fall, we will have the best spring rush ever in 2025. Hands down.
I think so too. That'd be awesome. Our city, Alberta, which is the province we're in, is like a gas province, some of the cleanest energy in the world. And like I think that if we can, because right now Trudeau, he thinks we got to get carbon free, no oil and gas and stuff. And like, does not realize the majority of his country's natural resources are oil and gas. And they have the highest standards, like some of the highest standards in the world for producing that.
Meanwhile,
stuff.
They're importing from like Saudi Arabia, who
which
like
is dictatorship oil.
Throw gays off like the cliff. They have like the worst like, human rights I've ever seen, but they're going after Alberta for some reason. It's absolutely nuts.
Ridiculous. So I'm with you, Lee. I truly hope that both countries can go conservative, because I do think like we've been beat down a lot. I think small business owners, I can't imagine having a restaurant during COVID, being a gym instructor during COVID, a barber shop. Like we were lucky being lawn care outside, considered it still service. We are just blessed, and we have nothing to do with that. But all these small businesses are hurting. Meanwhile, Walmart, Costco, Amazon, all those guys have and Netflix, like everything's been skyrocketing for them. I think it's time for the small business owner to start to get some dividends.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Cool. Well, I think that's all I got. Well, I guess unless you guys do have some, we could go to not financial advice. If you prepared some, if you have some for the people, you can fire away. And if you don't, I won't hold it against you. My not financial advice is subscribe to the Dirt Life channel. It's a great channel, lots of value. So that is my not financial advice. And then if you actually do want to give real financial advice, you just say it's not financial advice.
I would say, let's see, this is my non-financial advice. I hired a like personal trainer during like the on season, like last year. I just did like yesterday, like during the spring rush. It's absolutely crazy. We're working like 50-hour weeks, whatever, even more than that. You have to have a healthy body to have a healthy mind, or a healthy mind to have a healthy body, right? So I really think, investing in the fitness, investing in a diet or whatever it might be, really pays out the dividends. It's a couple $100 a month. I did it last year. I'm going to do it again. We got to be in the best shape of our life to have a really good season this year. So that's my
I think my big thing would be like, so I just bought a house, and it's a house that's honestly, it's outside of my budget. Like I'm nervous to make it happen, but that's sort of like our life motto. Like if you're going to live, like take some risks, like never, obviously don't kill yourself in the process. Don't go bankrupt in the process, but it's okay to honestly just always be uncomfortable, because the second you're comfort, you're no longer growing. This yard dogs, our best years are when we didn't know what was going to happen. And entrepreneurship, the best part of being an entrepreneur is like you don't actually know what's going to happen, but you're going to hustle,
take a risk and make it work.
Make it risk, and you're going to learn so much along the way. And honestly, I truly believe everything always ends up for the best when you actually look in retrospect. It's like, you know what, I'm glad that thing happened to me, because if that didn't happen, then this would have happened, or that wouldn't have happened, etc. So, you know what, take a risk. And like, if anyone watching this podcast right now is like on the fence about starting up a lawn care company, or like,
or taking skeptical, like renting that shop, or taking that
shop,
just do it.
Yeah. When we got this shop, we were hardly,
like, holy shit.
But that it was that fire under our said, okay, you know what? Instead of coming in at 10 a.m., let's come in at 8 and start dialing some phones.
And start going to the gym at 4 a.m.,
Yes.
stuff like that, right? It just pushes you. It's like, yeah, go out of your comfort zone. At the end of the day, we're all dead. We're all on the ground. Let's take those damn risks and let's work our asses off. And let's really push ourselves to the next level. So
100%. No, that's everything.
Yeah.
Go
Embrace.
for it.
Go for it.
Go out, go out. Go make that change of job. Go start your own business.
Exactly.
Do things before you're ready.
Yeah, embrace the suck. That's what I like to say. Yeah, cool.
That's all it is.
Yeah. This is kind of just a random last question, but let's because you said like, hey, we got a house, maybe it's a lot or whatever it is, but it's going to make me work harder. I was talking to my buddy who owns a marketing company, and he said that he found this study that business owners or entrepreneurs that have a luxury item that maybe is technically outside of what they should afford, one luxury item, it actually increases their chances of success because it gives you something to kind of like work towards. Like you have a taste of luxury, and obviously I'm not like pro materialism. I think like we should give back. I think we should take care of our families, but like I have luxury tastes. I have a list of maybe watches I want to buy one day, right? So like, what about you guys? Are there any like luxury items or things that maybe motivate you? Outside of like you want to provide for your family, you want to make a great environment for your employees, of course, but indulge me a little. Like watches, cars, like what's something you guys want to work towards for the fun of it?
Yeah, for sure. It's like outside of all the stuff that you talked about, right? The family stuff and whatnot. I would love a Porsche 911 Turbo S.
All right.
That's like my dream car, man. That would be the dream. Yeah.
Nice.
For sure grown on me and stuff. Like honestly, like my big thing is like we really, as a family, we really wanted a nice house, and this is a
cool,
very nice house that we.
That's awesome, man.
For that. So now that I've got that, honestly, I think I just need to sit back and think about what kind of things I want. Like Liam's got a sick hot tub idea for me and all these things. So
nice.
I do know, like for sure, there are some things like it's important for my wife and I that she stays at home and takes care of the kids. Like that was
awesome. That's
Liam
cool.
and I both want to get better at golf. You can consider that like a luxury. Like buying get a ball of the better and stuff. Like that's all luxury there. But like we just want to keep having fun, like this, like I think work and the dirt life and yard dogs works because like Liam and I would be friends even if we weren't working with each other. And don't get me wrong, we're very different. Like we're a partnership, but it's important that we're not the same, because if we were both the same, that'd be a bad partnership. Like you're literally gonna have the company to be with someone that's fun to be around. Like our skills and strengths are very different. So I don't know if that answers the question, but anyways, like there are some stuff. Like I would love that Porsche. You're not gonna lie, a Ford Raptor would be absolutely sick.
Those are going to get banned in Canada soon. Those get like 8 miles to the gallon, dude. So you gotta work hard to get one now.
That's a good point. I love that. All right, more fire. 2024 is the season. Let's make this happen.
Yes, sir. Cool, awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you taking the time very much. Definitely, if you want to plug your socials again, that'd be great.
Awesome. And if you're watching the C-Suite right now unfiltered and you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Give them the like and subscribe.
Cool. Thanks, gentlemen. We appreciate you. Congrats on 1,000. We'll be joining you soon.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks, bud. Take care.